Hey there. Welcome to Discover the Divine You. My name is Kimberly Nicole. Right now I'm on a journey to figure out who the real Kimberly Nicole is, who I was divinely created to be. So I created this podcast in hopes others could benefit from what I'm learning and the different ways I'm connecting with a higher power. I created this space for honest conversations about healing, creativity, spiritual growth, and learning to reconnect with myself while living presently in my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a job. I'm in 12-step recovery. Real life happens every day. So this is a space of no pressure, no expectations, no perfection, just progress. A journey towards finding peace, clarity, and connection to something bigger than ourselves, going from chaos to calm. So here we go. I'm so glad you're here to take this journey with me. Let's get creative. Episode 34, Set Them Boundaries. Hello, welcome back to Discover the Divine You. I am your host, Kimberly Nicole. And today on our 90 and 90, we are going to talk about boundaries. Them's is rough. Them's is hard for me. I'm not the best at setting a boundary, or at least I wasn't. I'm much better now. And I think the hardest part of boundary setting for me was other people being okay with my boundaries. I used to think that if they had a negative reaction to my boundary, that it was wrong, or that I had done something inappropriate, or that I had been mean. Truth is, you can come across as a lot meaner when you start standing up for yourself. And it doesn't make you mean. It doesn't mean that you're being mean. So if I had to become very self-aware that, like, I'd have to ask myself, okay, did I say what I meant without being mean? And if that was a yes, if I answered yes to that question, then their response to my boundary setting was none of my business. But if I come at them like super hot and I'm like yelling and screaming at them, obviously I didn't go across it correctly. But that being said, I want to touch a little bit on, sometimes that's what we need to do, is just spit it out. No matter how hard it comes, we need to just get it out, because sometimes that's the best we can do. And that's okay. It really is sometimes. Because we're not all going to be very diplomatic and politically correct all the time, right? We're humans. We're gonna F up, we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna say things that hurt people that without even realizing we're hurting people. But like I said yesterday, if I hurt your feelings when I'm trying to set a boundary, let me know, and we can talk about it, right? We're adults. And when I don't bring it to anyone's attention, if I don't say ouch when I get hurt, that's on me, right? I have to say out loud, I didn't love what you did, right? So I'm gonna go use another example of me and my husband. He's okay with it. I've asked. Okay, I can use him as examples in my stuff. I have permission, because we are in a healthier place today, where we can talk about stuff without getting offended and defensive and angry. We still get sad and we still get our feelings hurt, but I'd rather be open and honest than hide things. So anyway, that being said, so we were hanging out with some old friends from college. I never thought I'd ever say that. I feel old saying that. So we were hanging out with some friends that we hadn't seen in a while, and one of his old behaviors came back, and he, as soon as he did it, I instantly said, that's not okay. I no longer accept that. And please don't let it happen again. And I said it differently, but that's the gist of it. I was very calm. I was very frank. I was very firm in that was not okay and it can't happen again. I didn't go into, I felt this or this made me feel that or blah, blah, blah. But it did trigger some stuff. And so I didn't realize also that it triggered something for him, because he was then afraid that I was going to just shut him out because my trigger had been flipped. So then we had to have another conversation that was completely separate, just explaining to each other, like, he kept profusely apologizing over the next week. And I was like, hey, I set my boundary. You were respectful of that. I haven't thought about it since. Right? But as he kept apologizing and apologizing for it, I started thinking, well, is it bothering me? Is my behavior like reflecting to him that there's something wrong, that I am distancing myself from him? So I had to sit and do some self-reflection and some two-way prayer on it and be like, hey, God, is there something I need to work on here? So I did a 10th step on it a couple of times. I worked through it. But I was able to actually sit down and have a talk with him and say, hey, it did bring up a couple of things that I don't love, or that I'm afraid of happening to me and to my body. So maybe I was a little bit more distant and closed off and not as like lovey-dovey as you would like. But on the other hand, like, I don't feel like begging me for forgiveness was necessarily the route. Like, I didn't want the forgiveness necessarily, or the apology. I mean, I forgave him for sure, but like, I didn't want the apology. I just needed the behavior to stop, and I needed proof that it wasn't going to happen again by him, putting things in place to prevent it from happening again. And that's a big deal for me. I don't want to get too ahead of myself in our topics, but I just want to touch a little bit on the fact that apologies are garbage if there's no action afterwards. Like, you can say sorry all you want, but an empty apology means nothing to me. If you are not prepared to like do work to prevent that thing from happening again, my trust in you goes and we're going to have some distance, right? So setting boundaries, the best description a friend of mine shared with me that I just loved is a healthy boundary means the appropriate distance between you and that person where you can love them and yourself at the same time. Let me say that again. Okay? The safe distance between you and this person to where you can love yourself and them at the same time. So you don't have to sacrifice your peace for them to feel safe, and they don't have to sacrifice their peace for you to be safe or feel safe. And you don't owe them anything. Like, you really don't. You don't owe anyone anything. Yeah. I know that sounds pretty harsh, but it's true. Like, I don't even need my kids to like me or want to be around me. But if I am loving them to the best of my abilities and they hate me for it, I mean, that's their choice. I hate that. I don't love that. But I have gone through things and experienced things that I absolutely do not want them to go through. So I have set boundaries with them, with their friends, with birthday parties, with sleepovers, with play dates. We have boundaries. We have rules there for a reason, to keep them safe, so that I know that they are being loved and the other person is being shown love at the same time. There are certain people in my life I can only be around a certain amount of time because I know where the boundaries lie. I don't have to sit there and go, oh, hey, you're being an a-hole, so I've got to leave. I don't have to be rude. I can just be like, hey, it's time for us to go. Love you, bye. Right? Not all boundaries have to be verbalized. They can be just internal. I sat down, I wrote all the things that were bugging me at the time. And then How do I find peace around those things? And what does a healthy boundary look like? It's harder to do healthy boundaries with your husband, in my opinion, because they're around all the time. Like, you live together. It's hard with your kids too. But repetition helps, especially with kids. Especially when you're like newly recovered and your brain is just spiraling and you're feeling emotions you've not felt in a really long time, because the reason you were in recovery is that you were trying to bury those emotions. You can't cover them anymore if you're in recovery. There's no mask. So that's tough. It's tough to set a boundary because you're trying to parent you and your kids. And then you realize that maybe your spouse is a little bit emotionally immature or a lot emotionally immature. And then you got to be his parent? No. Ugh. That's not true. That's a lie that your ego tells you, that you have to make sure he's safe and he's okay. Really, the truth is, you got to make sure you're safe, that you're okay. Then your kids and your spouse is a grown-up. Let them be a grown-up. That was a tough one for me. I had to set a boundary with myself that I was not going to do my husband's chores for him. Or pick up after him. I was not going to make his appointments for him. I was not going to tell him what to do or how to do it or how to think or feel or act. That was tough. That was very tough. But our relationship is much better now than it has ever been. And it's more authentic than it's ever been. I think for a very long time it was pretend. Like, I was playing pretend because I didn't know who the heck I was. How could I be myself when I didn't know who I was? You know, the other day, I was feeling real good about myself, and I got a new outfit, and I was just feeling me. I thought I looked super fly. And I walked it like I tucked it, right? I was like feeling that day. And my husband noticed, and he made a comment about me and my body. And I instantly wanted to go, put on my jammies, hide in my sweatpants. And I wanted to eat a lot of things, to put on some weight, and not be seen. Those are my issues, not his. He didn't do anything wrong necessarily. But I realized that I had a boundary that I needed to set within myself and with him. So he could tell that I was like, about, like, my reaction to him was like, nails on a chalkboard type of vibe. So we talked about it, and I said, how about from now on, when you see me and you think I look gorgeous, you can say something like, you look really confident today. You look really strong. You look powerful. You look like you feel one of those things, right? Instead of making it about my body. And it was just about like my countenance and my character and how I carried myself. And that made me feel so good. And I felt good ever since then. And I was on my period one of those days, okay? So I'm just saying, that is proof that mindset changes the way we see ourselves. And just asking him that one simple thing, right? And then I forgot that we kind of had that conversation. And today I got up and got dressed, so fancy. And I was sitting at my computer and I was working on my co-creation with my higher power. And I was feeling really confident in myself and really positive and just like jazzed about the day. And I'm working, I got my tunes on, and I'm just like, I'm cooking. I'm doing work with my higher power, and it was feeling awesome. And my husband comes downstairs and he looks at me and he goes, you look really confident today. And I was like, yes! And I forgot that I had said that, but I thought, he can see it. He can see that I'm confident in myself. And I just went like, 'cause I am. I'm strong. I feel so good. And he smiled and he laughed, and then he left for the day, gave me a kiss and left. And then I sat there and I thought, oh, he did what I asked. When he thought I looked nice, instead of commenting on my body, he commented on my countenance and my character and how it was feeling. And I love that. And I love that he heard me and that he listened and that he remembered, because I didn't even remember. And I love how I reacted to what he said. It made me feel empowered and strong, and he didn't do that. I did that. God and I did that. Like, he obviously helped by saying it, but I'm the one that set that boundary with my higher power's help, right? I said it to him. I verbalized what I needed. And there was a time where that would have gone like in one ear and out the other, or not even in an ear, just whoop. So miracles are happening every day, you guys. And I think it's very apropos to express the fact that he's changing more for himself than he is for me, because he sees me changing for me and not for him. And it's improving our relationship. It's pretty rad. Because he knows, like, I'm on this choo-choo train. I'm moving. I'm on the jet plane, and we are not coming back again to where we were. And if he doesn't get on his own choo-choo train and come right along with me, he's going to get left in the dust. And that's his choice. There's a lot of things that go along with that, and a lot of feelings that go along with that. But I feel very strong and confident each time I set a boundary, a loving boundary for myself and for the other person. Because when he speaks to me in a way that empowers me, I show up better for him too. So when I do the same thing, like when I respect, like my son, I asked him today, would you like to go on a date with me while your brother goes to his friend's house? And he said, yeah, sure. And I was like, tell me, it's okay to tell me the truth if you don't want to go. We don't have to go on a date today. And he says, yeah, Mom, I just really don't want to go anywhere today. And I was like, thank you for being honest with me. You let me know when you're ready to go on a date, and I will put it in the schedule. And the fact that my son could say no to me without worrying about my feelings and knowing I'm going to respect his feelings. And I'm not going to go, oh, why don't you want to spend time with your mom? You're so mean. I have done that many, many times. Guilt trip manipulation to try to get my kids to want to hang out with me. Well, guess what? My kids want to hang out with me when they want to hang out with me. And I offer my time to them all the time. And when they ask me for things, I do my very best to pause what I'm doing when I can and giving them my full attention and being fully present with them. And that is how I am setting up my life, with intention, so I can be fully present to my clients, fully present to my kids, and fully present for myself and for my higher power. And I do that by starting off every morning with my higher power, especially taking breaks when I feel like a boundary's been crossed, and then I visit with my higher power and I'm like, hey, how do we go about making this better? And it works out. And the more I love myself, the more I can love other people. And the more other people will see that it's okay for them to love themselves and be themselves and say no and say yes when they want to, because they want to. I mean, there are some times where I say yes when I'm like scared, but I know it's right. But I never have to do anything that I don't want to do anymore. I don't have to eat anything I don't want to eat. I don't have to put up with behaviors that I don't want to put up with. I don't have to be around people that I don't feel safe or happy or peaceful around. I just don't have to. And there's nobody that's going to make me, because I'm the mama now. And I make the choices that are best for me, that my higher power guides me to make. So that is my challenge for you today. Make a good choice for you. Set a boundary, even if it's a tiny one, with yourself. But like, hey, when this happens, I'm going to do this. Have a plan in place to get your peace back. And don't sacrifice your peace. Don't do it. Do something loving for you today. Be creative, and I will see you tomorrow. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. You're my favorite. I'm so glad you came. I know life is busy, so I really do appreciate the time you're taking to do some self-care and hang out with me for a little bit. If something that we talked about today resonated with you and you want to dig a little deeper, I put together a 5-minute creative reset guide called Chaos to Calm that you can access in the show's description. And I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe and share this podcast with someone out there that you think could benefit from what we're creating here together. Also, remember, I am just sharing my experience, strength, and hope as I understand it here. So if bigger emotions come up, please take care of yourself and reach out to a licensed professional or someone that you trust for support. You are not alone in this. So until we create together again, please be kind to yourself and do something creative because you deserve it.